Miss Bryant. Welcome to Unit 5, Polynomials. We're going to get started with our notes on 5.1, where we're going to learn about combining polynomials. When we're looking at a polynomial, we want to learn about the parts of the polynomial first. So I'm looking at our polynomial here, the 5x squared minus 8x plus 13. We have three different terms. So we have our first term, second term, and third term. So there's three terms, being the 5x squared, the negative 8x, and the 13. A leading coefficient is the number that's in front of our highest degree. So a degree, we're talking about our exponents. So this 2 is the highest degree for our variable. So we're looking at this 5 over here. So that would be our leading coefficient is a 5, whatever's in front of your highest ordered variable. The degree, like we said before, is 2. So this would be called, since I have three terms, it is a trinomial. Tri means three, right? Like a tricycle. So here we have three parts to our polynomial. So this is a trinomial, so three terms. And this is in standard form. Now, standard form means that I have all of my terms in a descending order. So I have an x squared, then an x, and then no x at all. That is standard form. So now, if we try to simplify the following polynomial expressions, we're going to be looking at adding several different kinds of polynomials. In our first question, we have 3x squared plus 7x plus 5 plus a 2x squared plus 3x plus 8. So when we're looking to simplify, add, or subtract any kind of polynomial, we want to look at these steps over here in the corner. Our first step is always to distribute. Well, in question 1, I'm adding, so I'm distributing a positive 1, which means I don't need the parentheses, and I'm just going to add all the second step is like terms. Make sure you combine the like terms. So our like terms in this case would be a 3x squared plus a 2x squared. That gives me 5x squared. All you're doing is adding your coefficients. Now I have a 7x plus a 3x, which is going to give me 10x. And lastly, I have a 5 and an 8, which is going to give me a plus 13. So for question 2, now we're looking at 3x squared plus 7x plus 5 minus a 2x squared plus 3x plus 8. This minus means I'm going to distribute, step 1, distribute a negative 1 to each of the terms in this parenthesis. So our parentheses are needed when we're doing subtraction. So if I was to rewrite this after my distribution, my 3x squared plus 7x plus 5 stays the same. And now my second, after I distribute, a negative 1 to a 2x squared would be a minus 2x squared minus 3x and minus an 8. So when I distribute this negative 1, all of my positives become the opposite and become negative. Now we're going to do the second step, which is combine like terms. So 3x squared minus a 2x squared, that is x squared. 7x minus 3x is a 4x. And lastly, plus 5 minus 8 will give a minus 3. Now for question 3, I am just adding these two polynomials, so we don't need parentheses, and we can just combine like terms. There's no distribution needed. So I have a 4x cubed plus, oh, I don't have any sort of x cubed over here. So can I add this 4x cubed to this 3x squared that I had underlined? Well, no, I can't. So instead, my 4x cubed is going to stay by itself, and we're not going to have to add it to anything because there's nothing else that's like it. We're looking for like terms. Do I have an x squared in this first polynomial? Nope. This is the only x squared I see, so I'm just going to do plus 3x squared. What I do see that's like is this minus 10x and this plus 7x. That would leave us with a minus 3x, and I don't have any other constants, so this 9 is going to stay by itself for a plus 9. For 4, I'm going to have to distribute this negative 1 to each term in my second polynomial. So I would rewrite it as x squared minus x. Now when I distribute a negative, my signs inside the parenthesis change. So this would be a plus x squared minus 5x and a plus 2. Our second step is to combine those like terms. So I have a 2x squared, a minus 6x, and plus 2. The easiest way to see their like terms is by either underlining or making different shapes around each individual term that is like. So here I did 2 boxes around the x's. I did underlines around my x squareds. Using different colors can also help as well. So here I have a 5, for question 5, I have 8 minus this polynomial. So even though the 8's not a polynomial, I still have a minus sign in front, which means I will be distributing the negative 1 again. So if I rewrite this, I'll have 8 minus the 3x to the 4th plus the 27x squared and minus 1. The only like terms that I have in this is the 8 and the minus 1. So my final answer would be minus 3x to the 4th plus 27x squared plus 7, because 8 minus the 1 would be 7. Question 6 is asking us to find the sum. Sum means addition, so we're going to add 4x squared minus 7 plus a 5x squared plus 6. So since this is addition, I don't need to do any parentheses around the individual polynomials, and I can just combine my like terms. So I have a 4x squared and a 5x squared, which gives me 9x squared. And I have a minus 7 and a plus 6, which gives me a minus 1 for my final answer. Question 7 is now asking us to subtract this first polynomial from the second trinomial. Oh, they're both trinomials. So I'm going to do 4x squared minus 2x plus 18 in parentheses, since we're doing subtraction, minus, and we're doing 6x squared minus 8x minus 1, also in parentheses, because now I need to distribute this negative to each of the terms. So if I was to rewrite this after my distribution, I would get 4x squared minus 2x plus 18 minus 6x squared plus 8x plus 1. Now we're going to combine our like terms. So I'm going to highlight my x squareds, which would be this and this. My x's would be 2x and 8x. And my constants are going to be an 18 and a 1. Now, if I was to write this answer in standard form, I would get minus 2x squared plus 6x plus 19. For question 8, we're now looking at subtraction again. So we're going to take our second term, because we're subtracting 3b plus 4c from the 9b minus 7c. So that 9b minus 7c comes first. Subtract, and 3b plus 4c. Since this is subtraction, we need those parentheses to help us with our distribution of that negative 1 to each of the terms. And this is a binomial because there's 2 terms. After my distribution of the negative, I would get 9b minus 7c minus 3b minus 4c. When we go to combine our like terms, it'd be a 9b minus 3b. That leaves me with a 6b. And I have a minus 7c and a minus 4c. That leaves me with a minus 11c. So now if you turn the page, we're looking at question 9, which is saying if A is equal to this polynomial, 4x squared minus 3x minus 7, and B equals 3x squared minus 7x plus 11, they want to know what A minus B would equal. So I'm going to take my polynomial that means A, which is 4x squared minus 3x minus 7, and subtract, which means I need parentheses, the B, which is 3x squared minus 7x plus 11. We need to distribute this -1 to each of the terms, and then our second step is combine like term. After distributing that -1 with the combining of like terms, we're going to get a x squared plus a 4x, and a minus 7 minus 11 will give us minus 18. For question 10, it's asking us to find the perimeter. Perimeter is when we add up every side, and we're talking about a square whose side length is. So since a square, every side is the same length, that means I would be doing my perimeter is equal to this side plus side plus side plus side, since there's 4 sides, or 4 times each side. So in this case, we're going to do 4 times our side length of 5a squared plus 2a minus 1. And that's going to give us a distribution of 4 to each term, which leaves us with 20a squared plus 8a minus 4. For question 11, it's also looking for a perimeter. Now we're talking about a triangle. A triangle has 3 sides. So we're going to look at side length this plus this plus this. So I'm looking at 4x minus 8 plus 3x plus 5x minus 7. Now, why didn't I write parentheses? Well, I'm adding, so that means I'd be distributing a +1, so I don't need any parentheses because a +1 is not going to change anything. Next step, I just need to combine my like terms, and then you will get your answer after you combine those constants. That gives us a perimeter of 12x minus 15 after combining. So lastly, for question 12, we're looking for the sum of x squared plus 3x minus 5, and, which means we're adding it to this. Then they're asking step 2, step 1. Step 2 is to subtract this polynomial after. So let's start with our sum of x squared plus 3x minus 5 plus 2x squared plus 9x minus 11. Since this is addition, I don't need those parentheses, and we can just start combining our like terms. X squareds, my x's, and then my constants. If you're using shapes to outline each individual term, make sure you're including the sign in front of the number. After adding and combining those like terms, we get 3x squared plus 12x minus 16. Now we need to use parentheses because we're subtracting step 2, 4x squared minus 7x. Using these parentheses, we're going to distribute that -1, which is going to change all of our signs. And we're going to be left with a 3x squared plus 12x minus 16 minus 4x squared plus 7x. After distributing, we're going to combine our like terms. So I'm combining a 3x squared minus a 4x, which leaves me with a negative x squared. I have a plus 12x plus 7x, which gives me a plus 19x. And I only have one constant, which is this minus 16, which stays the same. So this would be my answer to this question. Thank you all for watching this video.